Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make iOS 6 usable in 2026, and I'm just going to be giving you a bit of a tour of my iPhone 4S. This phone's running iOS 6.1.3 specifically, and I've had loads of questions on TikTok about how I install apps and games on the phone, what jailbreak tweaks I use, such as for my cool home screen animations, and also how to get social media and other default apps working again, such as the Maps and Weather app, and also Twitter, YouTube and Discord. So with that said, let's jump into the tour. So I want to start off by saying to do most of the things I'm going to show you, you need your phone to be jailbroken. Thankfully this is very easy. All you need is a computer and a very easy to use tool called Aquila. There's a really good tutorial by Certified Legacy on how to use this tool, and I'll link it in the video. One of the first things I do on any legacy device is update the certificates. This makes sure that modern websites work properly and you'll get less errors on Safari. All you need to do is head to tlsroot.litten.ca and then install the signed iOS bundle for iOS 5 Plus. Another very handy thing to have is AppSync Unified. You can install this in Cydia from Luke CDG's repo. This will let us install unsigned apps from places that aren't the App Store, which is great because the App Store is pretty broken, and although you can fix it, I prefer using alternate app stores. Another thing to note is that Apple services such as iMessage and iCloud can be very hit or miss on iOS 6. I had a really hard time getting iMessage to work, and the only tip I can really give you is that you use an iCloud account that's also logged in on a modern device. I seem to have more luck with that. Also, if you have two-factor authentication, basically you need to enter your password the first time, it'll say it's wrong and send the code to your other device, and then back on the iOS 6 device you type in your password again, just followed immediately by the code. Thankfully, you're not going to need your iCloud account for anything I'm going to show you because we're going to install apps from third-party sources, but it's just in case you want to set it up. So now that we've got the boring stuff out of the way, let's move on to installing apps and games. I was lucky enough to get a 64 gig model of the 4S, meaning I have loads of room for old apps. And I think having these apps really just adds to the nostalgia and character of the phone. Now there's tons of different places you can get apps, but I'm just going to show you two of my personal favourites at the minute. So the first way is using a tool called Viteris. Viteris is basically like a third-party app store. It used to be owned by someone called Electamon, but then it shut down, but this guy called Victor brought it back. You can add Victor's repo to Cydia using repo.victorlobe.me, and then you just install the Viteris tweak and it'll appear on your home screen. I really like how simple it looks, and it's quite similar to the original App Store. You can just search up apps and then you can go through multiple versions and get the one you want. And you can easily queue up multiple apps at once and look at them in the Downloads tab to see their status. If you can't find an app on Viteris, you might be able to find it on the iOS apps website at iosapps.litten.ca. This is another great way to find old apps. You can just search up any app you want and then use the iOS proxied install to install it straight onto the phone. If you're not too sure what to install, here's a look at my home screen. I have a lot of old games and just things that I had as a kid on my devices, and it really brings back a lot of memories. This was like peak development at the time, like what else could you want on your phone? But some apps like social media are obviously still broken, but there's some tweaks out that can help you fix those, so that's what we're going to look at next. There are a lot of really smart people in the legacy jailbreak community that have revived loads of social media apps. Since there's so many revivals, I'll never get through all of them in one video, but I'll just go through the ones I use the most personally. For YouTube, I use Tube Replacer from Preloading's repo at cydia.preloading.dev. You can actually download an old YouTube version from the tweak page as well, which is pretty useful, but if this doesn't work, you can get it from Viteris or iOS apps. All you need to do is install the tweak and it's ready to go, and one of my favourite parts about this tweak is you can actually log into your Google account. You can use the Twitter app on iOS 6, but it's technically not Twitter, it uses Blue Sky instead, which is a social network similar to Twitter. This uses Preloading's Blue Sky to Twitter bridge, and I'll link the website in the description as it has all the instructions on how to set it up. For some reason my Discord isn't working at the moment, but usually it does, and this is through a tweak called Discord Classic. You can get this from BagXML's repo. Personally, I usually use an alt Discord account for this just because there's a slight risk of getting banned for using a third-party client. And because it is third-party client, you have to use your token to log in. I'll link a video in the description of how to get your Discord token. It's pretty easy to do, and once you have it set up, it's pretty cool. Another one you can get working very easily is Pinterest, and I like Pinterest because it's a good place to get wallpapers for these phones. For this, all you need to do is get an old Pinterest version from Viteris and then go to Victor's repo and install the Pinterest fix tweak. You can also log in and message people, which is pretty cool, so I guess you could use this as a messaging app. Another one that I want to mention that I haven't actually tried myself is called Veloria. This revives Musical.ly, Snapchat and early TikTok. As I said, I haven't tried this myself, but I plan to at one point and make a video, but I'll link it down in the description anyway for anyone who wants to give it a go. Another thing you can fix are the built-in Maps, Weather and Stocks apps. The tweaks for all of these come from the Skydlow repo at cydia.skydlow.es. And the tweaks that you're going to get are Maps X and then Weather and Stocks. And these are just plug and play, you just install them and they should work. Now that we've fixed those apps, another good thing about iOS 6 are the amount of customization tweaks for it, so I'm going to run through some of my favourites. First of all, here's my repo list. These repos have tons of really good tweaks in them, and this is where I get all mine from, so you'll be able to find them if you add these. And I'm just going to speed run through my installed list here, so if you have any questions, do let me know. Activator is a tweak that lets you set up custom gestures and button shortcuts to do so many things like open apps, text people, play music, whatever you want really. A lot of old theming tweaks rely on something called Winterboard, so I definitely recommend installing that. The Winterboard themes I have at the moment are this battery rainbow theme, which makes the battery just look really cool when you plug in the phone. And then I have a tweak called Message Bubble Colors where you can set the color of your iMessages to pretty much anything you want. Carrier Pigeon is a tweak that lets you change the carrier text in the corner to anything you want. I just have it removed at the minute because I think it just looks a lot cleaner. And Cylinder is the tweak I use for my home screen animations. Cylinder has loads of different animation presets and it just makes your home screen come to life. I use a tweak called Emphasize to change the colour of the status bar from that default blue to pretty much anything. 5 icon dock gives me 5 icons on my home screen dock. The front flash tweak gives you a front flash on your camera by making the screen go white, but I'd be careful with this one as I've had people say it crashes their phones. Google Fix tricks Google into allowing your device to use it on Safari instead of saying it's too old, and iFile is a really good file manager that I'd recommend. NC Settings basically gives you a control center in your notification center and you can change lots of different settings. Slide to Kill lets you swipe on apps in the app switcher to get rid of them, and you can also swipe down to kill all the apps at once. And all these other tweaks are ones we've already talked about, or they're just ones that come with the other tweaks when you install them. So hopefully this video gave you a bit of inspiration on how to get your iOS 6 device up and running in 2026. Obviously I didn't cover everything as there's so much, but I hope this helped you out. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!